Yogi. Welcome to the video podcast on Product Manager Thought Collectives. And then, like I always say, start at opening with one of our signature questions, which is, how would you introduce yourself as if you were catching up with an old friend? Like, we know each other for years, but we haven't talked for a while. How would you give updates and introduce yourself?
With an old friend, I'll say I'm I think they probably would know I'm an explorer. I'm curious. So I've been just talking about, what I've been exploring nowadays, what I'm learning. I will tell them about being a father of a almost 2-year-old daughter now, which is really life changing. So there'll be another piece that will come up in that introduction. I think another one is if I'm catching with an old friend, they know, my family and my parents living with us now. I just love being able to make that work. Has been 5 years of work, so they are liking living with us, we are living with them. So I think that's the kind of thing I will talk about.
Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you for the life updates. Yeah, so I think it's really good that you have family support, especially when you have a dog child. My family stayed with us when my son was born, and like periodically after like he turned 1 a little bit. Now it's just my husband and I. So it definitely feels different. We have
Yeah.
more autonomy, but I do miss the time that we could just go watch a movie and then somebody's watching the kid at home. It feels different, but yeah.
There are pros and cons, yes.
Yes.
Now I'm seeing actually mostly pros now, but there's some cons, of course.
Yes, definitely. So one thing, I'm gonna open the door really quick for
Sure.
the cleaner. I'm gonna turn off my camera, but I'll be back in 3.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, I'm back. Okay, thank you, Yogi. I'll tell this part when I end the video later. Thank you. Okay. And then thank you for kind of digging the background about your family, about your careers. So I think if you have a 30-second pitch about your career journey from working in big tech to today that you're a full-time career coach. So how did you make the transition, right? I would imagine it's not an easy decision for you and for your family to say, hey, I'm going to quit my well-paid job at Meta and then I want to be a full-time career coach. Like, how did the transition happen?
Well, it's actually, the conversation was harder than, it's not like I'm leaving Meta job to become a career coach. I actually, from Meta, we went to Uber journey you talked about, where I negotiated $1 million compensation, and leaving that job to actually do nothing. I didn't have a coaching in mind. I just wanted a break. I wanted to take time by myself and figure out what I want to do really. I didn't know. I knew I liked teaching, but I didn't know what it would be like in your capacity. And that one, by the way, that's a very hard conversation with my wife, with my parents. I mean, this is not like a small change to leave on the table.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So how did that happen? Like, when did the transition, that idea just get triggered, right? I mean, maybe you have done side hustles before, or how did you decide, career coach, that's your thing?
So that hustle, I've never done side hustles, no business experience. As a typical engineer, I would look down upon sales and marketing and business. Like, coding is the thing that you do. So kind of that stereotype, all I had. And what I did was to just leave the job to travel. So I started traveling. I went to Central America for some time. I went to Europe, like one-way ticket to Europe, and then just spent like 2-3 months there, just hanging on people's couches, staying with friends, and just, small hostels and things like that. Like, I just remember, landing in Vienna, and I didn't know anybody. I just stayed in a hostel, and like walking around, made friends, and things like that. And then one time after that, I was living in India for like on a extended medical kind of hospital-ish thing because I had some health issues. And I remember I was talking to people, catching up with old people, and just I was telling her about some career stuff, the negotiation, how she was saying she underappreciated what she could do, how could carry on the conversation with founders and things like that. And then a week later, I got an 80% raise. 80%.
80, 80?
80, right?
Okay. Wow.
And then she asked me, "Can I work with you?" I'm like, "What do you mean? Like, I'm not working right now." I thought she was trying to hire me or something.
Okay.
She was trying to hire me as an engineer. I'm like, "Oh, I'm not
Yeah,
working.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
getting
yeah.
off."
Then you just say
Like,
you're
no,
an
no, no, no.
engineer.
I
Exactly.
want
Right.
to actually work with you to grow my career. I'm like, "What is
Oh,
that?" She
yeah.
told me there's something called coaching and career coaching. You can do that. And
Okay.
so that was the planting of the seed. And then I spent about 5, 6 months not exploring, but actually coaching people. I found like five,
Mm.
10 people I could coach.
Fine.
I
Okay.
wasn't charging anything, but I
Okay.
committed. I asked for commitment of time, and some people just committed, but then disappeared. But anyway,
Yeah.
that was something I learned a lot in that time. But the most thing I learned, the most important thing I learned was I can do this and be effective at this. So that's the
Okay.
proof of
Okay.
concept for me.
Yeah.
And then I think this was back in 2019, early 2019, when I went professional. Let's do it professionally.
Okay. So basically, it sounds like in the PM world, you found your product market fit because there's like one friend of yours who really found your value, right? Like in her negotiations, so you have product market fit, and then you did a little bit of pro bono work, so you test it out
And that's a
in your
POC,
framework.
the proof of
Yeah,
concept, right?
concept, right? Proof of concept, right? So that's your like
Very
MVP,
lean, by the way. It
right?
doesn't mean development a bit. I mean, in the product sense, like
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times, and now I work with some coaches also, and in my network, people think I want to become a coach, and then they want to get certification, they want to do this, they
Right,
want to do
right.
that, and they spend
Yeah.
2 years getting education to become a coach. It's not a lean development. I
Yeah.
knew I can be the best way for me to do is to just actually develop a POC and see if I'm effective instead of doing
Okay.
a bunch of other stuff that may or may not be necessary.
Yeah.
So that was the lean development of a POC. Once I had the proof of concept that I just meant, this is good.
I love that. So how large is your current business? Is it a solopreneurship journey, or do you have a few employees, or part-time contractors, or full-time working for you?
I have 2 full-time employees. One is my chief of staff who looks at the back end, some communication, basic stuff around that. Another is a social media person who just
Okay.
does my video editing basically, because I did video editing for a while and I create content. I love speaking to the camera
Yeah,
and
yeah.
basically helping people beyond my coaching practice.
Okay.
And so she helped me create videos.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's amazing. So as a entrepreneur, like I said, engineer turned entrepreneur, what are some challenges you're facing right now? I would imagine it's not all rosy, right? There are ups and downs. And then how do you scale your impact? Now we're basically on your own, right? Then when you work at Meta, there's like a career framework, like, oh, I'm gonna go to from like this level to next level. Like there are VPs that look up to, but now you're the architect of your own career, right? So what some challenges do you face right now? And then how do you scale impact?
So I think the challenges, I have a lot of challenges. I mean, I could spend hours talking about just the challenges of this work. But the biggest challenge I feel in entrepreneurship is just like getting the ropes, like even figuring it out, how to structure the business. I just didn't know any of that. I mean, I struggled with, doing books and keeping track of stuff, hygiene stuff, and all those things are there are a lot of moving pieces. I love the coaching part, but once
Mm-hmm.
like now I have 20 coaching clients, I think just doing a good job with people. Also, I think that's
Yeah.
not a challenge. It's fun. It's a really good way to approach like scale challenge. But I think the biggest piece is the back end of business. I
Yeah,
think
the
that's what I like.
operations, like the finance, accounting. Ah, I see.
And the second challenge is actually I've hired people. I had hired people in the past
Mhm.
in Meta and all that, but end to end hiring is something to hire somebody good end to end, and you're taking ownership of sort of the whole process. That's
Yeah.
that's an exciting challenge. I think right now if you ask about scaling impact. The
Right.
two ways I think of scaling impact is first I used to one-on-one coaching. Now I do a
Mhm.
lot less one-on-one, but I do group coaching. And
Oh,
part of the
okay.
group is one-on-one component. I also talk to people one-on-one, but there's also some group aspect of the coaching where people get support from each other in the group. And that's a way to scale the business. But also, looking back, it's actually people find it very helpful to talk to other people, not just to me, but get other people's perspective also. And other people who are facing challenges. It's not like a coffee talk or a beer buddy, but actually having a deep conversation with people in the group. That's very helpful. So that's one way to scale. Another way is I'm hiring a coach who can help me coach other people.
Okay.
And finding a coach who is, I believe I'm pretty good at what I do. I'm compassionate. I can hold space. I can be courageous. I can call bullshit when need be. I can do all that. And finding somebody who is compassionate, courageous, and just who stands their ground, but also cares about people at the same time. I think that's a bit of a challenge right now.
Yeah, no, that's true. It's different perspectives, right? I think in a big tech company, you might have different politics, but now when you're on your own, you have different operational nuances you have to consider. But those were taken care of when you were in a big tech company. And then you mentioned
big tech companies like it's a big system. You take a function and optimize that function, and now I'm writing the whole system basically. It's not just one function.
You write your own journey. And then you said you have 20 active clients right now.
I have couple dozen, something like that.
Okay. So I imagine everybody's career journey is different. But if you have to distill a common theme, common mistakes, biggest concern from your clients, when they come to you, what are some most common issues they are facing?
Oh my God.
If there's ever a pattern, or maybe
That's
there's
a good question. If you were to ask me a year ago, I would say, no, everybody's different. And everybody's different. Right. But the last 1 year, I've really been thinking about what the patterns are. Now, I worked with about 400 people, something like that. Give and take, I've had deep conversations with people about their career and life, about 400 people. And now I can see the patterns. And I think the biggest pattern I've seen is people doubting themselves. A lot of doubt. You can do a lot of good work, but people think by doing enough of good work, the doubt will go away. Yeah. That's not how.
Right. It's a mindset.
I think working through doubt is a separate journey, and working good work is just that's another journey. And I think both gotta be done, and they are correlated. If you don't do anything, of course, it's hard to trust yourself, but also just doing a lot and not working on the self-doubt part, I don't think it goes away. So I think people doubt themselves, and they think the doubt, the self-questioning will go away if they accomplish enough. And that's not.
Yeah. I think every level, everybody would have different doubts, right? When you're, let's say, when you are a junior employee, you're like, oh, how can I get to the next level? And when you were the CEO, you're like, oh, how can I make the shareholders happy? There are other great CEOs. Every level, there's always something you compare yourself to others, right? If there's always comparison, then there's always self-doubt. You always feel like maybe it's not enough, right? No matter which level you're in.
Yeah. And I guess another thing that I've seen a lot is, I think people because of doubt, many times people just stop dreaming. Oh, I've tried so much. Oh, whatever. They just can't just try to get by, get through the day, get through this job, and they have stopped dreaming. And part of the work I do is to actually help people dream big, where they have lost. Some people just have a lot of dreams, but they don't do something about it. They don't focus on the dreams, right? Yeah. So help them focus, make time. Nothing happens in 10 years. Nothing is going to happen magically in 10 years. You do something today and tomorrow that adds up to 10 years. And I think I help people do that. But second thing is, some people just forget that there are possibilities in life beyond what you're doing day to day, and helping them dream is also another piece that I've seen. Some people just don't forget to dream because they doubt themselves a lot.
Yeah. I think imposter syndrome is probably pretty common among women, parents, everybody. But I used to have imposter syndrome as well, and my trick to overcome it is everybody is bad at something, right? Like I'm bad at a lot of things. You're probably bad at some things. So everybody sucks anyways. So why feel bad about yourself? So that makes me feel like, hey, everybody's got different limitations. So
I
like,
think logically it
yeah,
makes sense what you're saying, but
yeah,
actually getting deep into the bones, this idea
right,
that you're okay. I think for
yeah,
me, working through 400 people, and we pretty much, I've seen, I've maybe encountered 2 or 3 people in this, all of it who don't have imposter syndrome. So this is not just women. Women, of course, do have a lot of imposter syndrome. Men tend
right,
to
man,
hide it more, but they have
yeah,
a lot of imposter syndrome also. I mean, I have had imposter
true,
syndrome for a long time.
true.
And I think, yeah, just realizing that it's very common is a huge part
That's
of that
true. That's true. I think number one is that acknowledge it is common. Number
knowledge.
two is that maybe, you talk to people who experience something similar, they can like sympathize with you and then learn how they overcome their challenges. And then find your own path, like how you can, kind of overcome your own kind of limitations and stuff. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
that's such a good point. Basically, when you become aware of it, limitations, and then how do I work with them?
Or go above and beyond, right? That, yeah. And I know you recently gave a workshop about your negotiation journey. So what are some kind of tips you have? I guess that you're kind of negotiation, right? You wrote a blog post about your performance negotiation at Facebook. There's also your job offer negotiation to $1 million. So maybe the tips are totally different. But what are some tips you have to negotiate at the workplace and also negotiate before you start the job?
The tips are, I feel like tips are, even the word tips, I think it's a very common thing to ask for tips. Like, what are the tips? The thing with tips is that negotiation is a mindset game. And it's like asking, you know, I have a production issue. What are some tips you have to fix the production issue? I think you want to understand the production system before we can talk about tips, right? So I think the mindset about I want to become good at negotiation, that mindset, some people think, okay, negotiation is only about the conversation with the recruiter or that one meeting with the manager when I'm talking about performance evaluation. It's not negotiation. Negotiation happens 24/7. And in jobs, in many of the jobs, Uber job especially, I talked about, I negotiated from 320 to $1 million. Like that negotiation, I remember it started pretty much on the second call with the recruiter. It started. I knew negotiation started, right? So I think just realizing negotiation is a lot longer journey than just one conversation. That's the one tip I have to just mindset shift. Second is a lot of times in negotiation, we think about what I want,
Mhm.
and we
Yeah,
what I want, and we kind of
right,
try
right.
to bulldoze over and try to get what we want.
Yeah.
A lot of negotiation about trying to figure out what other party wants. Why are they not willing to give me what I want? And then
Mm,
actually figuring out a way to co-create an outcome that's good for
okay.
them, good for you, instead of
Yeah.
like bulldozing over like, I want this. I
Right,
think
right,
that
right.
that piece of listening to other person, what they want, where they are stuck, and how can I help them? In Uber negotiation, that was a huge part of like learning what are the problems of the team, how can I
Mm.
help, and actually reiterating that was a big piece
Yeah,
of negotiation.
I love that. Basically, it's a non-stop journey. And also, you have to know, like, it's not just about take, right? It's also about give, right? What can you offer? What does the other party want? So, it's not game theory, right? Then you have to guess what the other party like you have, and then what you can offer, and then you find the middle ground where your offered value versus your expected value is a matching. So that would be like, that's at the end result. These are negotiations,
And
right?
matching and going beyond, right? Like for me, when I'm asking for something, I'm going for like, okay, can I return a 10x return on that for them? It might not be 10x, might be 5x sometimes, might be 15x, but I'm kind of looking for that. Okay, can I, if things go okay, can I do 10x return? And then
Mhm.
then I can actually ask for what I want. If I'm willing to create
Yeah.
the 10x return for that.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, I love that. I mean, I think it applies everywhere, right? Like sometimes you are a parent, I'm a parent, right? You think
Yeah.
about negotiating with a toddler, right? They just want that candy. What do you do? Like you can distract them or give them some value exchange. Like, oh, if you take them the toys, you can have that candy. So it is a non-stop
I think,
experience for sure. Yeah.
and also, I think that you bring up a very good point about toddlers. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and at some level, I think my biggest learning in my coaching work and learning about psychology, learning about people in general has been, I think we are all toddlers.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
We are civilized and we learn to kind of not throw tantrums all the time, but
Right.
deep down we are toddlers. And really learning when somebody behaves in a certain way, somebody told me every behavior is communication.
Mm-hmm.
Toddler behaves a certain way, kid behaves is a communication. If you think that making it life hard for you, you're missing the point. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So if any behavior has an underlying feeling that is causing the behavior, and if you try to understand the feeling behind that, we can work on that instead of working on the behavior. So when somebody is not willing to give me a certain compensation, there's something going on behind it. Can I tap into that and work on that instead of asking for more money? Like, okay, what is the problem here? Can I fix the problem? And then they're willing to give me the money because I fixed the problem.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I see. Yeah, that's true. It's
Same thing
true.
with the toddler.
Yeah, same thing like toddler, right? That I love that analogy. It is true, right? Like I think we're all grown in different ways, but you sometimes have to embrace, oh, okay, there's an inner child of me. How I want you, say what I want because of like whatever reason that you have the value exchange kick out.
Yeah. I think realizing that the toddler, the inner child is in us, we are suppressing it. They're good at suppressing, and 2-year-old is not. But I think if you can learn to see the other person's child, also my own child, and then connect at that level.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. One last question for you is that if our reader wants to learn more about your career coaching, how can they reach out? I don't know if you have like a target audience, like, oh, do they have to be like early in their career or like mid-career? Like, what kind of clients
Yeah,
do you have,
I
and how
think the
can people reach out?
biggest piece, the target audience is pretty much like I work with engineers, PMs, and very select CEOs, CTOs, product officers I work with. A few, like maybe like I don't know, 10 or so. I've worked with them also. So the thing is, mid career is the best fit for me because people who
Okay.
are very young, they haven't seen the problems a lot of times, so they don't appreciate what's going on. I think they have burnt themselves, right? And
Yeah.
mid-career people, I think they have dreams and they're starting to run into problems into either the corporation or whatever. And I think once you have you're a feeling that you're not quite getting into career what you want, and then you're running into a problem, that's when I can kind of step in. That's where I'm very helpful. And I think people who have had mid-career seems like a pretty good fit for me over time, I've realized.
Okay.
And how can people learn about me? I think the best way is to kind of watch my videos and stuff, like the content I create. yogisharma.com, yogisharma.com. I kind of bunch of stuff there. And if people feel like they would like to kind of have a conversation with me once they see I might be a good fit to just explore something, I mean, I do a couple of conversations just to explore to see if you're a good fit. If you're a good fit, we talk about coaching. If you're not a good fit, we can get to know people and we're done at that point. So I think yogisharma.com will have some links for that stuff also.
Yeah, definitely. And then what kind of coaching services do you offer? So you said you have group classes. Do you also offer one-on-one or it's like hybrid mode?
It's a hybrid mode, basically. If most coaching I do is a combination of group and one-on-one. Like me and my team engages one-on-one, and me and my team also will actually do the group coaching. I do most of the group coaching calls, and that's how. And I think a lot of what I do is personalized. That's why I want to talk to people on the front end to see if you're a good fit, and can I actually help them develop a program that I can help them. And I guess about, I don't know, 20-30% of people who show up with me in the beginning, we disqualify just from my coaching because I don't think I can help them. and there's no point
Mm.
pulling them into coaching because it just won't be a good fit. But then when people come in, and then once we figure out it's a good fit, then we talk about kind of coaching program. But a lot of it is personalized and customized.
Thank you so much for your time, Yogi.